What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. And this episode we are still on the CRX on the hunt to get to SEMA. Last episode we got our Garrett turbos in place. We also did our downpipe and our rear header. Now this episode we are going to continue on the turbo system with some boost management. We're going to be throwing in our GVW Garrett 50mm wastegates. We have two of these guys to put in. We also have some Bluetooth intercooler piping right now. We got to get all that situated. We also have to figure out our screamer pipes, whether we're going to go out the hood or down below. I know last episode I asked you guys, comment if you want to see us go out the hood and shoot some flames, or you think it should be stealth and go down the bottom. I think we should go out the hood, but you know, that's just me. It might get a little tight back here, but we'll see. And we also have a lot of welding to do on our downpipe. We also have to finish the connection from our downpipe to our side exhaust. This side exit exhaust that was made on the previous setup. This car was originally V6 and originally was an NA setup, and now we're going twin turbo. So we got to do a little doodad down there, and we also have a ton of work to do on the coolant system. Sam's been working on getting all this situated, making a bunch of billet parts to be able to get the coolant system to work, making a bunch of jog over pieces. So we'll probably be doing that in future episodes, as well as a bunch of stuff inside of here. But before we get too ahead of ourselves, let's start getting these wastegates positioned. Rear wastegate is going to be pretty simple. We're going to lay it right on this flat right here. This is where our heat zone is going to be. On your wastegate placement, you always want to be on the outside of a bend or the outside of a straight where all your exhaust pressure is building up. If you go on the inside, the exhaust is going to go to the path of least resistance. So that's going to be a great spot for our wastegate on that bank. And then on this one, we got our coolant line in the way already. So we're probably going to be on the bottom of this bend down here, something like that. So first thing we're going to probably tackle is this side. So we're going to get these housings out of the way so we can get easier access to the wastegate placement. And then we'll start cutting up some stainless steel and getting them into place. Once that's all done and we have them all tacked in, then we'll just try to get all the cold side done, so then we can figure out where the screamer pipes are going to go. So obviously we have a lot to do, so let's get these wastegates in the car. Alright guys, we're going back and forth with this 50mm wastegate from Garrett, which is extremely big. And I thought I had a lot more options as to where to place this thing. And as you can see, we have the actual compressor taken off the housing, so we're able to kind of get it in and out of there. But this has proved to be a big challenge to get this 50mm wastegate to fit in here. And it's coped where it needs to be. It's right inside this little pocket, so we have this little jog out right here. That's going to work out. I have a full hand away from the motor mount. The only thing that I'm kind of like leery about is the wastegate dump. So if we went ahead and pointed this wastegate straight down, it's going to hit the motor mount really hard. It's like right on top of it. So our only option, I think, is going to be come from here, wrap around the backside, and then through this pocket here, come up over and around. Once I get this tacked onto the actual header, I'll be able to get this out of the way, and then we'll be able to do that whole wraparound doodad. And there's a big hole right down there to be able to put our wastegate dump. So that's probably gonna be our best bet. So we're gonna go ahead and take this all apart now, tack it in place, and then start running our dump. So I just wanted to bring you up to speed after all the time lapse. We did go ahead and run our dump around, over, and down. Now, the reason we did that was try to keep this all clear, so the cold side on the turbo on this one would be able to just jog down here. And we're using these aluminum cast 90s to weld on the end of our actual compressor side. So this is pretty common, do this most of the time. That allows you to be able to get your whatever clamps you have from pointing straight down to going forward, which is good for packaging. When I did that, I wasn't really thinking too much about front wheel drive car things. And as you can see, we got front wheel drive car problems. I went and put the dump like right in the way of the axle. So that was a big wah-wah. So I'm gonna go ahead and take that out, and we're gonna come under here. We're gonna go through this little pocket right here, down here, and then straight through that giant hole where there's nothing in our way. I know in the last episode I asked you guys if we should go out the hood or down below, and I'm sure by now a lot of you guys are probably saying you should go out the hood because that's super cool. But the problem with this system is we could be able to get that one out the hood, but this other one, there's no way. After all the cold lines are in here, the cold side's done, and the oil drain, we wouldn't be able to get this wastegate dump up and over here and all the way out the hood. So if we can't get both out the hood, there's no sense in just putting one, because you gotta have both of them to be together because they're friends. So yeah, we're gonna continue on with this. We're gonna finish this guy out, get this dump exactly where we want it, get our downpipe back in, make sure all that clears, and then we're gonna go ahead and be able to finally get our other wastegate in, and then start working on our cold side, which is gonna be pretty complicated. But what isn't complicated on this car? So we're gonna go ahead and do that now and continue on the process of twin turboing this V6 CRX. As we can to the transmission. Only left to do is to create this little dump. So it's probably gonna go something like that. I think I'm just gonna slash cut it. Just gonna go off this trailing arm. All right guys, we finally have the hot side done. Our last wastegate is in. We got a dump pipe going right into the transmission. Like I said before, I'm not sure about this traction arm. If I have to raise it, I will. I'm gonna leave it tacked for now until the suspension's all put together and we can start articulating it. Because if it ain't broke, I'm not gonna fix it at this point because we are strapped for time. So first things first, I already prepped these snails. As you can see, I cut the piece off that you would normally slip a silicone end on. So what we're gonna be using is these ferrules. These are some different ferrules I've used in the past, and they have like this clamp system. I'm not sure, Sam I think found these in Australia or something. So we have all these ferrules we're gonna start unpacking. I wanna mock up the intercooler and the radiator again so we can start connecting the dots as far as how we're gonna come through here, through behind the headlight, and then merge to two and then into one. So we're gonna have to weld our 3-inch ferrules on either side of this. We're gonna weld those on first. So this is a company called HDI out of Australia. They make these really cool high pressure HD style clamps. They're really sleek. They have no pins, they have no nothing. It's just this snap ring or this snap clip right here. So once it's installed, it's really smooth. Looks kind of cool. But the benefit of these guys is they have 2-inch. So no one else in the market makes 2-inch clamps. So these are gonna go right on that 90 like that. So this one's gonna spin up so that it's above that line, come in there. So what I'm probably gonna do is I'm gonna weld them on this 90 first. I'm gonna cut this back as far as I can go, and we'll tack weld it on there so that we have the whole assembly kind of like together, so that we know exactly where to position them on our turbos. So it's gonna go like right in there like that, because after this point it's gonna be titanium. So they're turning down some titanium version for us on the opposite side so that we can basically situate these things however we want. So I'm going to tack these onto the intercooler because I don't know which ones they're sending us as titanium, whether this side or this side. Whatever happens, I might have to switch them around, so I'll probably end up just tacking them in place. Same with these guys. And then we'll just tape the titanium on the ID of these and use these for mock-up. But this should be able to get us exactly where we need to go as far as getting all this side done today, and then we'll get this side done as soon as we get our throttle body in, which we're still waiting on. So we're gonna go ahead and finish unboxing these, start tacking these pieces together, and then get them on the turbos, and then start running our titanium down to our intercooler. All right, here's the moment of truth. So here's our full assembly. It's pretty cool. You know, it's not a solid connection like a V-band. It floats around in there, which is cool because it can move with the engine vibrations. It's 2 O-rings that go inside of this clamp. It should handle about as much boost as you could throw at it. They're pretty cool. So yeah, this one's gonna go right in here like this. And I'm only tacking everything together, guys, because I want to make sure that I can run my charge piping out of here, and I'm not gonna have any issues. So I'm gonna make my timing marks, and I'm gonna tack that one in place first. Oh yeah, perfect. Let's see what we can do about this side. I wonder if I'm gonna have to do it like that. Yeah, I might have to do it like that. But it'd have to be like a 45. That might not look too bad actually, because then the intercooler pipe's gonna be on top of each other. Then we see the super sweet Garrett logo. Oh, I like that. Right in the pocket. So I'm gonna shave the outside of this mount out of the way to buy us a little more room. But this intercooler pipe will go right underneath. This will stay on top, and then it will go right into that hole. Alright, so we got the top half of our cold side done. The intercooler pipe's kind of mocked up. I'm liking this a little bit better. Originally I was thinking about they were going like both be down, but that's not possible, obviously, because there's something in the way. So, you know, we snake this one down below the coolant line here so we can still get our AN line there for the coolant. So we jogged down real low, came up, and now we're in this little pocket here. We'll make a little closeout panel once this is all situated. And then this guy just comes straight back. Gonna notch the motor mount bracket right there just to give it a little bit more clearance for engine movement and stuff like that. But all in all, that's looking like it's probably going to be it. So from here, we were thinking about doing 2 more of these guys so that the system is serviceable, in the sense that obviously we can't have all of this be one piece. You wouldn't be able to get it out. It'd be quite a nuisance. So this one's going to go like this, and then that one right beside it. So I'm gonna end up having to tape all this up to mock it up. It's kind of cool that we use these clamps actually, because traditionally, like Vibrant clamps have a hinge here and a big bump out with a pin. You wouldn't be able to sit them like side by side like this, you know, real tight. Whereas with these, you just put a flathead screwdriver in here and you pop this thing off, and then you just slide it out. So this actually worked out perfect for this application, for what we're doing right here. I gotta find some tape so we can tape all this up. I'm gonna put something under here because this actually needs to get lifted a little bit. Everything's loose right now because obviously we don't have the titanium ferrules in there, so I can't like tack weld everything in place. I have to just use the aluminum ones for now. Oh, and I gotta see if the headlight clears, but I'm pretty sure it does. It's like out here, like the buckets are, I think, more this way. So yeah, I'm gonna tape all this up now, get it all situated, get these in position. And then from there, we got 2 15-degree bends that we're gonna merge into a cone, which then is gonna get smashed into a transition that'll go into a 3-inch, and that 3-inch is gonna finish out our system into the inlet on in our intercooler here. Alright guys, here's our transition. So it's going to be a simple 2-inch to 3-inch transition with a cone. So we have our couplers here, a coupler here. So from here, it's going to go right in front of the wheel, just like that. Plug into those two, going into the turbos. And then from here, we're going to do a 90. Yeah, I don't need that other connection. I don't know what I was thinking taping that on. I'm gonna take this off and weld a 90 on the bottom of it, because we're gonna do a 90 and then a 90 and just have to do some straight sections in between. We're also gonna put the intercooler back on too. So we have our point B, or we have our point A. We'll go ahead and connect the dots now. right, guys, we got our driver's side on the ropes, finally. So we got our 3-inch coming down, going into our transition here, going into our 2-inch, into our turbos. And of course I did that layout backwards because the boost is gonna be this way, merging in here, coming up here, and here, coming across, getting cooled off. And then we're gonna build this, come up this hole right here, and into our throttle body that's sitting up there. So everything looks pretty tidy. The only thing we have to do is confirm that this is all gonna clear our front bumper that's sitting over there. The old one, I think it clears, but I think the old one is actually bigger than the new one. The new one seems to have less overhang than the older bumper. So I'm pretty sure this car is gonna be wider, it is long, which is pretty cool. But anyway, we're not gonna final weld everything right now. We're gonna confirm the bumper fits next, and I wanna keep moving. I wanna get everything mocked up, everything done, so when I break this apart and do the welding, it's all for the last time. And then probably by the time all that's done, the new engine will be here, because this is just a mock-up motor, and we can final install everything, get everything done, connect our downpipe and everything like that. But that's in a later episode. For this episode, I want to finish out this cold side, guys, get all the intercooler piping done before we go to the next step. We're going to be working on the driver's side now, or the passenger side rather, getting that all dialed in, and then we'll confirm our bumper fits. Hopefully we don't have to make a lot of modifications to intercooler piping, because I don't know how else I'm going to be able to go, and then we'll be good to go. So don't stop watching, stick around to the end, let's keep working. A lot of you guys probably wondering where Sam is in the videos. He pops in every once in a while, but we've been doing double duty. So I come in the morning, I work most of the day. He comes in usually later in the afternoon, but he works all night. So he's most productive in the night. He's a night owl. So I'll come in and, you know, the throttle body be installed, the intake manifold. He hung the pump for the oiling system, trimmed up the front bumper to fit the intercooler, and also he's doing double duty on the V12 car. So we're making a good team as far as that goes. So he got the pump in there, which is good because that is going to be in my way when I go to do the intercooler piping around here. This pump is going to be for the drain system. We have this tank that is going to be collecting the oil from the turbos. It's going to gravity bleed into this tank, and then from here there's going to be a line that runs over to this pump, and this pump will actually pull the oil that is built up in this tank over here, just regular gravity, and it will pump it back into the oil pan of the engine over on the front side of the pan. This is probably going to be our best bet because, you know, the headers, all the hot stuff is all in the way, so we're not able to run our drain lines organically how you would normally do on a regular car, because there's just no way to route it. So we have a nice opening right here down to these dash 12 lines. So we have a nice big line to drain all the oil, and then from there it's going to come around, go to this pump, and then go into the pan. I'm going to cut this flange off because I want to hug this thing as tight as I can. I just test fit the front bumper, and it's barely touching this right here. And you see how tight we have it over here, but we don't have a pump in our way. So with this side, I'm gonna have to literally probably come over here, go above this fitting, come around as tight as I can, come back, and then we're gonna go up this little hole right here, and then into our throttle body. Not a huge deal. I'm just gonna make sure everything works before we final weld it, just like we did the other side, because clearance is obviously a big issue with this car. Now that we're like almost to the finish line of the turbo system, you keep getting yourself into these situations where it's like, oh well, that's not gonna work, that's too tight, and you want the fit and finish to work. So this is gonna be our best bet. So I'm gonna start running my 3-inch now, come around here, and we'll put a clamp system up here as well, and then from there we'll run everything down. So we're pretty close, guys. We're real close actually to getting this turbo system pretty much done, and then we'll just have plumbing and a bunch of other nonsense to do. Big hurdle also that Sam is tackling is obviously the wide body kit, so he's doing that as well. So we're gonna keep going on this, see how it fits. All right, guys, so I decided to prep our throttle body first, and as you can see, I cut off the actual flange that originally is there. It acts as a bump out, so when you put your silicone or your rubber hose over it that goes to your airbox, it has something to latch onto and won't slip off. So normally you have to cut that off. I do a nice little Scotch-Brite on the existing aluminum casting so we don't have any impurities when we go to weld it. And for now, I'm just going to tape it in position. I figured that I would build my intercooler piping down to the pump so that I get down to the pump as opposed to going from the intercooler all the way up to the throttle body. Basically, we're just gonna grab this low-hanging fruit. I'm gonna cut this open now, run my intercooler piping down, stop it there, and then from there I'm just gonna connect the 2 dots. But I had to prep this guy first to be able to accept this little flange onto our throttle body like that. So let's go ahead and tape it. Hopefully that's not too long. Sometimes you have to cut this back like all the way if you have any sort of constraints, you know, being able to make this bend. But I think we're gonna be okay. If I don't hit that wheel well, then we're good to go. If I hit it, then I'm gonna have to cut back more in order to clearance it, because these 90s actually are a pretty big center line radius. They're not, I think it's bigger than 3 inch, I think it's 3.5. So just have to be mindful of that when we're coming here. But it looks like, yeah, we got plenty of room for activities. So we're gonna go ahead and put this back in the car now, and we're gonna start running our intercooler piping. All right, we got our intercooler pipe done, and I'd have to say I probably have about 40 hours of welding just in this one pipe alone. We got pie cuts and pie cuts and pie cuts for your pie cuts to make some pie cuts with your pie cuts. Yeah, so we decided to go under here, and we have this tow hook, which is our lowest point, so we should be okay with that. To come over, around, and back around so that we can still get our AN line here for the oil return system. This guy's gonna come around here, probably loop up around. But last thing we need to do before we throw our blow-off valve on, which is our last component for this turbo system, this GVB 50 millimeter blow-off valve, which is gonna land right here. It's gonna be its final destination. It's gonna look pretty sweet. We gotta confirm that front bumper clears. Everything's good with that. And once we confirm that, then I'm gonna tack the flange on. And then I think we can start welding. A lot of welding. But I'm gonna confirm that now, make sure that's good, and then we'll get that blow-off valve on. Ideally, you wanna have your blow-off valve position as close to your throttle body as possible, because you have all your boost building up here. And when you let off on the throttle, you want that boost pressure to get away from your throttle point as quickly as possible. So the best way to do that is to put the blow-off valve near the throttle body. Now if you want like turbo compressor surge noises, where it's like a groupie rally car, go ahead and put your blow-off valve way over here on this side of the intercooler. And that way, what happens is the boost is gonna flush back and forth on this whole system. That's when it does the shutter, the like that. But we're not gonna do that with this car. We want to make sure it's as optimal as possible. So we're gonna put this over here. So we have all of our 3-inch intercooler piping going down. Sam went ahead and put the oiling system in, got the start of that. We got our intercooler in from Garrett. We also have our turbos in under their own weight. And we have these really cool clamps from, what company is that from Australia?
It's HDI.
They're really cool because on tight clearances like down here, we don't have the pins or any of the hinges like the Vibrant units. So this works out great. So what's next on this build, Sam, and what are we gonna be focusing on the next couple weeks?
Yeah, next is just really finish up the coolant system, finish up all the fabrication we can so we get this car to paint, powder coat, plumbing the whole car. Biggest thing is we're waiting on the motor. So P2R is building the new motor this week, should be done. So ripping this one out, because this is just the mock-up motor. Yeah. And then getting everything back together for final assembly.
And then as far as our intake manifold, anything like that, is there anything we have to fabricate on this engine before we go ahead and swap everything over?
No, I think we're pretty much there.
Yeah, I think so too. So you're working on the coolant system. We're gonna be doing that next. We're doing some hard lines here, and then also we're doing a, what's this called? Little swirl pot. So we're gonna be putting this in there, So we're just gonna keep stacking the Jenga blocks, guys, and we're super close to SEMA. What are we, like 40 days out?
Yeah.
Maybe 40 something. We're not even looking at the calendar.
Yeah.
So comment below if you like the project so far. Remember, go follow Sam's channel at Guichi Motors, and he's also working on the V12 car. Next episode, or the episode after that, we're gonna take that V12 for a rip, because I know Sam's got a couple things he's gotta iron that out. So thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for subscribing, and we'll see you on the next episode.